As someone who was in a front office for an NFL team, can you walk me through what your take was on the Packers offseason? They go into the NFL draft. They don't get a wide receiver. They draft Jordan Love. So first, give me your impressions about that. And then they're in their second straight NFC championship game. Did you think they would ever get there? So first, tell me about your impressions about their draft, and then we'll talk about where they are right now. So with that, and kind of with almost the little bit of disrespect that they had coming into the season, despite the fact that they were 13-3 in 2019, did you expect them to be back where they are, especially playing the way they are? What do you think of that matching of LaFleur and Rodgers? It's almost like poetry in motion, the way they're able to read each other's minds.
Well, look, when you have Aaron Rodgers on your team, you have an extra coach on the field.
Now, we referenced that, obviously, former CEO of the Raiders. So you were there when Charles Woodson donned the black and the silver. What was it like to see him then go to the green and gold and help them win a Super Bowl? The man who signed him, Ted Thompson, obviously the news that he has passed away, all of this outpouring of love and respect, the man who drafted Aaron Rodgers. Can you talk to me about your interactions with him? One thing that I really wanted to pick your brain about is Devontae Adams. Everyone knows he is one of the top receivers, but the season he's had, despite missing 2 games, and in this crazy era of COVID, just almost seems kind of mind-boggling. From your perspective, what have you seen, not only him, but the rest of the wideouts for the Packers accomplish this year? One other thing that I've wanted to note is the big question mark, and I get the feeling that you're like me, defense is a very big part of the game. Defense wins championships is the saying. What have you seen from the Packers defense? Because that was the big question mark after the beatdown that they had by San Fran in the NFC Championship game last year. How have you seen that defense just rise to the challenge throughout the season?
Well, I do love defense, and while people
One other thing that I think has been most apparent is the fun that the Packers seem to be having more than any other team, especially in their touchdown celebrations. And I feel like you and I have mentioned this when we've talked on Sundays. What do you feel has been the biggest just learn from that other teams aren't having that the Packers have, and just the camaraderie and the joy that they have for each other this year?
I don't know that any of us from the outside looking in can understand what the elements are. You're absolutely right. It's evident. I love watching the fun they're having.
One question that we have to talk about is the question that both Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers hate, because to them it's not Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers, right? Because they don't see each other on the field at the same time. It's their, Brady's against the Packers defense and Rodgers is against the Bucs defense. But looking at this matchup of what I saw, one statistic said the most accomplished quarterback of all time and the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. When you look at this matchup, what are you excited for? I could not agree more. I'm going to stay with the Packers defense. I'm going to switch gears just a little bit. Last year, Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, they were all over everybody. This year, Zadarius has the sack numbers. Preston was a little late of a start. But what do you see from the Packers pass rush that has them getting to quarterbacks so much in the back end of the season?
Well, you referenced sack numbers.
Speaking of Packers coverage, can you tell me what you've seen from Packers cornerback Jair Alexander? The man has been a shutdown king so far this year. I'm going to switch gears with you a little bit because, and I know you get asked this all the time, but you were one of the first women to be in a front office position for an NFL team. What was that like?
When you asked me that question, it just floated through my brain, and I don't think I want you to answer this. But I'm not sure you were born when I started my job with the Raiders. We'll just leave it at that, okay? Maybe I should just be a little goofy and say, don't worry, I'm not that old. I actually started when
How do you see women in sports growing since you kind of opened Because while you may not think about it, you almost did. You kind of opened that door for more women to get into higher ranking jobs, not only in the NFL, but across sports, whether it's, in executive positions, journalism, you name it. I agree with you wholeheartedly. We are going to end this, of course, because you were the tops pick queen. You had the most games picked right on that other pregame show. Of course you did. I mean, I love Adam Shine and Kyle Long, but I usually went with what you chose. So who do you have in this matchup of the Bucks versus
And I'll save it for you for Sunday.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to tell you my pick, and then you can either tell me if you would think it's right or not. I think this is going to be a very close game, unlike the last time that these two matched up, where, Rodgers had his worst game of the season, only threw his third pick six in his entire career and threw 2 of his 5 interceptions. I think this game is going to be very closer. The fact that it's at home, Rodgers is having his best season maybe in his career. I think the Packers win to go against the Super Bowl, but I think it's going to be like 32-27.